What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane, joined once again by my good friend Cole Ladshaw, and we're about to do something we've never done before on this podcast. Preview an NCAA tournament game. Tomorrow night, 9:45. That's if the games end on time, which we know will not be the case. St. John's will take on the 15 seed Omaha Mavericks over in Providence. I'm excited. I'm nervous. Not gonna lie to you guys. Cole, your thoughts, your opening thoughts here on what St. John's is gonna do tomorrow night against Omaha.
It's going to be a late night tomorrow night, man. By the time we get done with the game that you know is going to start late, like energy, the juices will still be pumping through us. I don't envision myself getting to bed till well after 2. But yeah, it's going to be bad news for the Omaha Mavericks. Like Vegas already has us 17.5-point favorites. Like I like it. I'm not as worried as you. I'm the confident one. You're the negative one for a change. Go
Wow,
Johnnies.
17 and a half. So I think it's gone down a little bit. I think they opened up as 18.5-point favorites. So money's going towards those Omaha guys. Good news here. We got our buddies Steve Lapis and Andrew Catalone on the call. I think we were undefeated this year with those guys and crew. We don't have to go to CBS Sports Plus Extra whatever to watch this one. But a couple things about the late Thursday game. I think it's actually a good thing. I didn't want to be that opening game or like right in the swing of it. I think it's a good idea for our guys to be able to see what happens early on in the day, maybe see a surprise upset. Could be what wakes them up, could be what gets them, in the right mindset. I don't I kind of wish we were earlier than 10. I would have liked a 7 or an 8 p.m. game, but I do like that we're not in that first wave of games.
Yeah, agreed. You always see those early terrible upsets happening like right as the action starts tipping off early in the day. So, hopefully we can slide in under the radar late at night, lay a whooping on Omaha, and then, get to bed.
Yeah, our Big East brethren, Creighton, who we just, took out in the Big East tournament, opened up the tournament, that 9-8 game against Louisville. Really, one of the top games of the opening 2 days, I think. Both those teams are undefeated. Louisville gets kind of a home game to kind of make up for the fact that they're undefeated. I think doesn't do Creighton any favors. Winner gets to face Auburn. But enough about those guys. Cole, we've got our game Thursday night against Omaha out of the Summit. I've been doing some looking into Omaha, and I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I think they do some things as a team that go against St. John's strength, and they have some valuable experienced pieces that have been playing together for 3 full years. So I do think St. John's is going to have to play well to certainly cover, and I think they're going to have to play well to win this game. I'm not sure if you've had a chance really to deep dive into them yet, or you're looking already to Saturday or Sunday.
Oh, I'm looking past them. I'm already looking at Saturday, Sunday. I'm already booking tickets to San Francisco. No, they're certainly battle tested, playing in that grueling conference schedule in the Summit. Wow, yeah, I'm super impressed by that. I haven't done too much, not as much of a deep dive as you have done, but outside of sort of kind of looking at some of their out of conference games, trying to find some comparables. They obviously got mollywopped against Iowa State. I don't know how much you can take from their in-conference games because, frankly, they don't. Again, I was being a little facetious, a little sarcastic there, talking about the prowess of the Summit League. But I stick by Vegas. If Vegas is saying 17.5, like you never want to be too confident, and Rick Pitino will not allow his guys to be confident, and he will also be in-game coaching them should we have a big lead to try to prepare them for their next game. But I think it's a game obviously St. John should handle, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night. But Pat's going to try to talk us onto the ledge with him instead of me trying to talk the people off.
I just don't want us to get too overconfident. Look past an opponent like the 11 previous 15 seeds may have done in the past. We have taken out number 2 seeds, and I wonder what those Vegas lines were saying then, Cole. I'm sure they're hefty spreads, but these are Division I players. They're capable of getting hot. If St. John's isn't ready to play, then anything could happen. And we haven't really, as good as our season has been, we haven't shown the propensity to really blow teams out either. We are a team that beats you slowly and surely. And a win's a win, but you keep a team around long enough and a couple things go against you. and you may end up, losing one you shouldn't. And I got my fingers crossed, but this is by no means predicting a loss. I'm just trying to keep ourselves guarded. So let's talk a little bit about these Omaha Mavericks. They're led by Markel Sutton. He's a power forward. Watching a little tape on him today. Incredible numbers. He was the player of the year in the Summit. 6'8", 220 is how they're listing him this year. I'd say he's a little bit bigger than RJ. Probably Aaron Scott's looking at this matchup, which is a good thing for us. We've got a guy ready to guard a big wing like Sutton. 19 points, 8 rebounds. He scored 20 or more points 21 times this year. Gets things going. Isolation on the wing, can shoot from 3. Really good rebounder. Definitely their best offensive weapon, and some guy we're going to have to keep in check. I think Scott's a good physical matchup for him.
In their offensive system, is he playing mostly on the wing?
I mean, I didn't sit down and watch too many full stretches of games. These were his scoring highlights. A lot of it was isolation on the wing. A lot of it was offensive rebounds. A lot of it was transition at the basket. Didn't look like they were running him off screens. Didn't look like it was him operating the pick and roll or anything like that.
Okay.
Wing score,
A big body like that, I'd just be curious, like whether or not he can use that to his advantage against somebody like Aaron or RJ, who are a little maybe less poundage wise, but it doesn't sound like he's playing bully ball at the rim or anything. Like a back to the basket big. Sounds like he's out on the perimeter a little more, which, to your point, yeah, I think that sounds like a Aaron Scott, RJ Lewis matchup written all over it.
I do think he's got a little bit of size on both of them. I think Scott's capable physically to more than hold his own. But this goes into something we'll talk about later, is just foul troubles. And Aaron Scott in particular, making sure he doesn't pick up any cheap ones early, making sure he can play, close to 50 minutes in each of those halves would be huge. If we have to go past him to someone else to guard him, you got Ayo on the bench, who's a capable guy. You got Prey as well. So we've got bodies to throw at him. But that throws us off our game plan of our predetermined matchups once you got to go to the bench and move guys around like that. After Sutton, they've got 2 guards, J.J. White and Tony Osborne. Both these guys have been playing for the last 3 years together, along with Sutton. Very experienced guys with this system, playing alongside each other. Both of them are capable scorers and shooters. Each of them shoot 40% from 3 on the season. I think both of them have scored 20-plus points 7 times each. So each of these guys are capable of scoring points. They've each also had a 30-point scoring game. So we're seeing a team that's got 3 guys who have scored 30 points in a Division I basketball game this year, regardless of the competition. That gives you a level, an idea of what they're capable of doing when they're hot, when they're open, when they see shots they like. So it's those 3 guys: Sutton, White, Osborne. White is a bigger, more physical guard, not really a blur. We heard Coach Pitino say he thinks he'd be a top 4 guard in the Big East. We know to take whatever Coach Pitino says with a grain of salt, but I do believe this guy's a really good player. I think it's really those 3 guys. I worry about Osborne as the 3rd guy. We've had seemingly a tendency to let, someone on the opposing team just get going from 3 and have a career night. We see that at Carnesecca all the time, and I'd hate for it to happen on a night like this in the NCAA tournament with Osborne, a guy who's more so does stuff on the wing away from White and Sutton, but a capable scorer in his own right. So it's really those 3 guys offensively. They bring a couple other guys off the bench. Waddell's off the bench as a guard, Glover's a guard, and those 2 big boys at the bottom, halfway down there, you see Isaac Ondekene, I believe is how you pronounce it, 6'8", 275, and then Joshua Strait, 6'8", 230. Both those guys play about 17, 18 minutes a game. They usually have one of them on the floor, and they're big bodies. 6'8", 230 is the smaller one of the other ones. Ondekene is 6'8", 275. So a team that's got some size, some talent, and a lot of experience.
So I'm staring at White and Osborne's stats for the year, and it looks like White averages about 2 turnovers a game. Osborne 1. I was curious how much they were turning the ball over, because both of them being listed at 6'2", I would wonder how much they'll struggle with our guard size, assuming Davon's shoulder still isn't 100% and Rick keeps rolling with kind of the starting lineup he has been rolling with, Davon coming off the bench. You have a bigger guard in Sim. You obviously have Kadari playing defense on them. Like, that's 2 big guards that, they're them being listed at 6'2". Do they struggle with the size of a Kadari and of a Sim? And does that lead to turnovers? Obviously, we'll be switching everything and ball pressure. that'd be something I'd be interested in taking a look at. It doesn't, again, White turns the ball about 2 times a game, Osborne 1. Like, they're not turning the ball over a ton, but with our pressure, it's going to be something different than they've seen all season long. So how bad does our defense fluster them and what they want to do offensively? I think that'll be a real key.
Yeah, that's what makes these games so interesting and such a crapshoot. Like, they haven't seen a defense like us. Even Iowa State, which is a great defensive team, they don't do it the same way as we do it. Our relentless ball pressure, full length of the court will be something they haven't seen, and it's really not something they could prepare for in practice. As a whole, though, they do a pretty good job of not turning the ball over. So, and those guys are experienced. That White, he's a big, strong guy. He's not someone we're going to be able to like push around. He does look like maybe we could tire him out. And then hopefully we get into their bench a little bit, and those guys will be a little bit more apt to turning it over and giving us some easy baskets. What they do a really good job is keeping guys off the offensive glass. You'll see right there. Teams are only getting 8.5 offensive rebounds against them. That's the 23rd least in the country. So St. John's is a team, we rely on that. That's a large percentage of our offensive diet is eating on the offensive glass. Zuby, RJ, Kadari, Davon, Scott, all those guys are plus offensive rebounders, and we've made a living, killing teams, breaking their backs in the second half, just offensive rebounds. We see how it has that cumulative effect as the game goes on. Will we be able to do that against this team? I like we said with the turnovers, they haven't seen a team like us as relentless on the offensive boards, as big, as physical as us on the offensive glass. But they do have guys that are strong. They do have a lot of depth, and they rebound by committee. So that will be a big key. Can we flex our muscle on the offensive glass against a team that does its damnedest to keep teams off the offensive glass? It'll be a good, interesting yo-yo to watch that battle in our game.
Have they, again, back to who have they played? Have they played a kid like Zuby who's as aggressive on the offensive glass as he is? It's strength versus strength. Like you said, this is what's the best part about March Madness tournament, like these type of matchups.
Let me ask you a question.
Clashes of styles.
Is there a kid like Zuby out there? Is there another guy like Zuby out there for them to face? Probably
definitely not in the Summit. That much I can guarantee you.
You can see a little bit of their schedule here. I apologize. This is the small screen we're working with. They only got so much real estate here. But that left corner is their out-of-conference schedule, and you can see a lot more losses there. They were playing tougher teams. Lost against Minnesota, lost against UNLV, Alabama State, Southern Utah, Akron, Albion Christian, Montana State, Iowa State by 30, as Cole alluded to. And then they really got going once they hit the Summit League. Got hot, got things going, and their team came together. So, yes, these stats, a lot of them are risen because they got a softer league play. And you can see how much they struggled. And you look at their individual game logs as players, both White and Osborne really turned it on once league play came around. So there's no coincidence there. I just think we got to be we can't be so quick to look past the team just because we see a 15 next to them, just because it's another team from Omaha. We've already beat Creighton. How could there be another good team in Omaha, right? If we can beat Creighton twice, how are we going to lose to another team that's from that same area? But I think, as we've seen, teams get hot at the right time. A game goes one direction. A player starts believing in himself, and you just get stuck in a moment. And we don't want to be that team that's stuck in a moment, staring at the clock, down 10 with 6 minutes left against an Omaha team. Yes, we've been in that position to make comebacks. Yes, we're capable of doing that. But you only give yourself so many opportunities, and you don't want to have that one time where you can't come back, be a game in the NCAA tournament against Omaha.
Yeah, you had mentioned earlier that 11 times a 15 is upset a 2. I think a couple of those times have happened in the last couple of years, no?
Yeah, not last season, but the 3 seasons prior to happen one time each. Ohio State lost, Kentucky lost, Purdue. Maybe it was Purdue who lost too.
So I wonder, as mentioned, you saying not last year, I wonder, like, as NIL becomes more prominent, like, does that widen the gap between these lower seeds and these higher seeds that have built their roster with NIL funds and poached these smaller conferences of any good talent? Like, I wonder if we see that sort of more recent trends start to go away, and maybe
I guess the counter would be maybe you see less NCAA teams that are so dominant because they're not playing together for 3 years. So it's if you do have a chance to see in Omaha, where you got 3 kids who played 3 years together for 30 minutes, maybe that collective. I guess that was more so the case before NIL came, where you had these mid-major kids would stay for 4 years instead of getting poached. What? If these guys play well enough at a loss, they might be looking to join St. John's next season. Like that. I'm jokingly saying that, but I'm sure there's going to be cases of an NCAA tournament team turning around and pulling a kid off a team they just beat. Like that's
we know
an audition. Yeah,
Rick Scout in the middle of the game. We know what he did with Aaron Scott after we played North Texas and Charleston last year. So
yep, yeah, no, for sure. All right, so I've laid it out. Omaha, the 3 best players, what they do well. I think we got to get out early. I don't want to toy around with this team. Get out early, get a hold, and to be able to kind of cruise to a victory. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I don't want us to be fighting tooth and nail for 30 minutes of this game. I think we got to avoid foul trouble, not just Scott, but Kadari, RJ. Got to make it a thing that's not going to hurt us and not going to carry into this whole tournament. We can't pick up dumb fouls early. Okay, we're going to be aggressive the whole second half of basketball games. We want to be able to pressure the basketball. We can't pick up dumb ones in the first 6 or 7 minutes. We got to let the game settle in, let the refs, kind of follow into the flow and see how it's getting called, and then, pick our spots. We can't be sending guys to the bench 7 minutes into the game in the NCAA tournament with 2 fouls.
Agreed. So at the risk of jinxing us and starting to look ahead, like Pat, again, I've said Omaha, 17.5-point dogs. Let's just, for the sake of conversation, chalk this one up as a dub and move on from there. We're now 16-ish hours away from the beginning of March Madness.
Cole said it, not me. Cole said it, not me.
So we all have our brackets filled out at this point. Like, why don't we talk about the West region, how we see it shaking out, how far we have St. John's going in our little individual brackets. So, Pat, I'm going to imagine that you have St. John's getting past Omaha. I personally have Kansas over Arkansas, so setting up a St. John's Kansas matchup. I think Bill Self coaching against Rick Pitino for only the second time in both of their storied careers. I know Pat has conveyed to me, as he continues with this new pessimistic Pat attitude, that he is very concerned about the Kansas potential matchup. Obviously, they have the talent, at least from a on paper perspective, to have originally been considered the number 1 preseason AP poll ranking. You would think St. John's is a favorite. Kansas had a little bit of a down year by their standards, but again, is Hunter Dickinson going to be that good of a player come tournament time? Like you had mentioned, is he one of the better players on the court even against our roster? TBD. Then where do you have everything else shaken out? Do you have Texas Tech making a run and coming up for a St. John's matchup?
So this region's tough as heck. Florida, who is probably the hottest team in the country, they get to see back-to-back reigning champion UConn in their second round.
It's interesting with Florida. It's interesting Auburn being considered the number 1 overall seed, but Florida arguably comes in way hotter, having just won the SEC tournament. Auburn, again, getting the number 1 overall seed, really limping into the tournament. Definitely not thrilled to be in the same region with Florida.
Yeah, and that 4-5 in there, we got Maryland and Memphis. I think Memphis is kind of the weak 5. That's really the one weak spot in this region.
Plus, if they have that injury, it sounds like that kid might not be able to play for the
really?
Terrence Edwards, is that his name? Yeah.
And Maryland's looking really good as a 4.
Crab
and
5.
Then Missouri and Texas Tech. I think personally, I'd rather be the 3 Texas Tech facing Missouri than the 2 St. John's facing Kansas. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's a death sentence in Kansas. I think we can definitely, and we will be favored. I don't think it'll be a huge spread, but we would be favored. But I just don't like the fact that they could have the most talented player on the court. And say what you will about Hunter Dickinson and how annoying he is, and he's 25 years old and he's doing March Madness commercials already before it started. He's hard to deal with, man. And unlike Kalkbrenner, if we really suffocate him offensively, he's one of the best passing big men in the league. And as much as Kansas has struggled this year and as much as AJ Storr hasn't done anything, are we really going to think that he's not capable of going 4 for 6 from 3, like against St. John's? So like that's the type of talent a team has. That's an underachieving preseason number one team. You know, they've got talent and size and depth, and a Hall of Fame coach who's won a national championship. So, not the matchup I was excited to see. I don't think it's something we can't overcome. I just wasn't when it was getting down to the last quadrant. I was thinking there's no chance we're going to avoid at this point. And then I forgot about Arkansas. So like that was the one thing too. Look at all the sevens and tens. I think out of if you would have gave me the choice of seeing any 7 and any 10, those were the last two I would have chose. People might disagree. BYU, UCLA, Marquette, some other options out there, but there was no way this committee was going to put Utah State as the 10 and leave the chance of not either Cal or Self advancing to see Patino. Like they wanted to secure the fact that one of those guys was going to go up against Patino, and we got to get past Omaha. Remember, in the round of 32. So I don't think they did us any favors. I think that whole bracket right there is extremely tough. I've got St. John's facing Kansas. I've got Missouri facing Texas Tech. I've got UConn. I think I went 1 through 8 chalk in our region. Honestly, can't recall if I've got Missouri beating Texas. I think I got Missouri beating Texas Tech as the one surprise.
You're going a little counter to popular picks now. Drake is a very
6/3.
Drake is a very sexy pick in that 6-11 matchup against Missouri.
Too sexy. Sexy.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
Yep. And then I do have, guys, don't crucify me. I do have Florida advancing from this region to the Final Four.
Crucify him. Take away Johnny's card.
And can we celebrate an Elite Eight season? Hell yeah, we can, guys. Hell yeah, we can. And I'll be rooting like crazy that I'm wrong and I'm not winning my bracket. But that's just my honest opinion.
I got St. John's winning the
Florida's
national
a lot to deal with.
I got St. John's winning the national championship.
Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah.
Forget negative Pat over here, negative Nancy.
Okay. All right. Cole, anything else you want to bring up before tomorrow night's 9:45 tip? St. John's versus Omaha.
Go Johnnies, man. Hopefully work doesn't have me doing anything important Friday morning because I am going to be dead.
Are you contemplating going there Saturday if we are lucky enough to advance to Saturday's game?
Not Saturday. Just super busy right now, unfortunately, at the time with work. But hopefully, fingers crossed, again, to completely jinx us and have us lose to Omaha tomorrow. Plan is for San Francisco. Should we make
really?
It? Mm-hmm.
Wow. Guy won't drive to Providence, but he'll fly to San Francisco. You got to love it.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. Somebody had to roll out comp plans and calculate commissions for this job. Like, okay. We ain't got nobody backfilling my responsibilities.
Shout out to everybody, followers, listeners, Spotify ratings. Thank you guys for leaving some reviews. Appreciate that. Leave some comments. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your bracket predictions. Let us know your Big East thoughts for the other team. Shout out to Xavier for sneaking in. Hope they get that win tonight. Got to root for those other Big East teams until we may have to face them down the line. For Sean L. Scott, this has been Pat Kane. That's Cole Atshaw, the Red Storm Rap Reaction